Hey, this is Billy with Permaculture Farm. Glad to be back again. Hope you enjoyed the little segment I did with Gangsta Pete and Cedric. Two great guys, but I will warn you, Gangsta Pete is a wonderful, fantastic person if you're a friend. But if you're not, those little chiclets you see in the bottom of a toilet just might very well be your teeth if you catch him, if you say the wrong thing. Anyway, he's a great guy, but I'm not entirely joking about that. Anyway, folks, I wanted to give you a brief update and kind of inform you of a little bit of tragic news that happened earlier this week. I showed up and, long story short, I basically had about 4 chickens. 3 of them were dead and 1 was on his way of dying. And this is, folks, one thing you have to really come to terms with when you do this kind of work is you're going to suffer losses if you have animals in any system. And those losses could be anywhere, it could be your fault. Sometimes it is. It could be an unforeseen thing that you just didn't see. It could be any number of factors. But I got to say, in this particular case, I'll be honest, I did not think was a possibility. I've been doing this long enough to know the calling cards of a predator. For example, if it's an aerial predator, you're going to see certain evidence. If you have a predator, let's say a possum, or a raccoon, they all have calling cards. Every predator has a calling card. Typically, I can look at the scene and probably with the help of game cam kind of come up with what I thought happened, kind of replay the steps. But in this particular case, I don't even know how to go about this. I'm not going to accuse anybody, but when I showed up on here, the only thing that was going on was this project in the background, that construction project. So, like I said, I'm not going to accuse anybody just outright, but I will say that when I showed up, there were no puncture wounds. There was no evisceration of the animals, and that's one of the things that can happen with some of these predators. It showed all the signs that either one of 2 things happened. It was either a bird dog, and I know that from experience, or it was a person. And folks, I seriously hope and pray it was the former and not the latter. Then again, there is no shortage of lunatics running around in this world, so I wouldn't totally dismiss it. I can't even believe I have to say that. I can't even believe that is a possibility. But sadly, I think it could very well be the case. So let's move on to some better news. The latest is this swale over my shoulder you see right now. I finally finished it. Incrementally I did it. And I did it with a shovel. And you can go back and watch that video. It comes down to about 42 feet. I could have gone a little bit further, but I wanted to leave a little bit more of a gap in the end of it, so I could comfortably get the birds moved in and out. Because right now, you can't really tell in this frame right now, but in the background, the chicken fence goes around, the poultry netting goes around the end of the swale. Instead of having to set it up, I can kind of slinky that thing in whatever design I want it to be. So long story short, you can see the green in the foreground. That was the area I started first. And remember, I think I got maybe 18 feet that day. And then I worked on it another 30 minutes. And then the following day after that, I think it was 1 hour and 10 minutes. So just over 2.5 hours, I got a swale that is 42 feet long, and that's kind of conservative. It's with a back cut, it's at least 3 feet wide and 1 foot deep. Now, for those just joining this channel, the reason I didn't make it any bigger is because I'm dealing with a narrow stretch of real estate here. And I got to be able to get that, as you can see in the background, the chicken tractor, there's not a whole lot of room in between there, So I would have loved to have gone 6 feet, 5 feet, even 4 feet. But I'm also planning on running sheep in this system later on. So I have to have something to play with. I can't have them in a landing strip. I need something a little wider than that. So I would have preferably gone with a wider swale, but that just didn't work out. You can change those things based on your design. So anyway, folks, I don't think it's a bad investment of time. 2.5 hours and I got 40 feet of swale. I think that's pretty impressive. And I wasn't working hard. I guess you can't, if I left it on time lapse, you'd probably think, yeah, this guy's really getting after it. He did all this in 18 seconds. Well, no, the fact is roughly 2.5 hours. And that's even taking the time to set up the camera and do all the other stuff it takes to record it. So folks, I don't know if building a swale is in the cards for you, but if it is, do it incrementally. Just, like I said, it's a war not won in miles, but in inches. So gain a little bit of ground, and then later on, as it makes a little more sense, gain a little bit more. Well, that's really the long and short of it today, folks. I got the cover crop in. I got all the things ready to rock and roll. The only thing left to do now is to let that cover crop, which it seems to be doing quite well actually, let that cover crop do its thing, prep everything, kind of getting the soil ready. Like I said, this is the lousiest soil in North Texas probably. And you know, at this point, it's just let this cover crop do its thing, and then make our changes, plant our trees, and do all the other things we want to do as you know, as time, when the time allows. So anyway, this is Billy from Permaculture's Farm, wishing you good luck in all the stuff you do. And like I said, don't get discouraged about your setbacks or the things that may feel like, you know, hey, why am I doing this sometimes? To me, at the end of it, it's worth it. It's worth it. So anyway, if you like what you see, subscribe, tell your friends about us, and hit that like button. This is Billy from Permaculture's Farm. I'll see you next time.